folks, we're out here at Garvin Park again this week. We're about to do a bit of ice fishing. Ice isn't safe enough to be on. It's only about 2 inches thick here, so that's too bad, but that's all right. I've got wax worms as per usual. I've got my little ice rod that I built. I've got a tungsten ice jig, size 14, down to a little piece of wax worm. I don't have an auger, so I punched a hole through with a metal pipe, but I think this spot should hold some fish. This is about 6 to 8 feet deep right here, so there's a pretty good chance fish will still be hanging around, especially since there's the structure of the pier I'm standing on. So this is a safe option for ice fishing for those of you guys who also don't usually have safe ice. So let's give it a shot and see what we can catch.
Yep, you heard that right. I did punch a hole through the ice with a metal pipe. There's a clip of that right at the very end of this video. I would never suggest you do that on ice you're standing on, but since I'm fishing off a separate structure, I feel like it's a pretty okay option. This is my first time fishing with the tungsten jig. They don't really sell these around here. I had to special order one of these online, and they're great. I'm usually a big fan of slow rates of fall, but in this application it made a lot of sense to get that jig down to the depth I knew the fish were holding at pretty quickly. All of the fish were suspended about a foot to 2 foot off the bottom, and so to not have to wait for a small jig to flutter slowly all the way down was very nice. Like a lot of the other fishing I've been doing this winter, the bluegill have been the most willing to bite. I've just been tipping my jigs with wax worms. I found this to be the most effective method. I didn't ever get around to trying soft plastics. I got a little too excited while I was fishing and forgot to experiment with new things. I was so excited to just be catching fish that I didn't really think about it too much. I actually had a whole bunch of other jigs and other things I'd planned to try, but honestly I was just having so much fun I didn't even switch, so I apologize for that, but there's plenty of time left in the winter before it should warm up too much, so maybe we'll get another chance at this. As far as my setup goes, it's nothing fancy. I built a small ice fishing rod out of an old ultralight I broke years back. The reel I'm using is what I use on my usual ultralight rod. Instead of being spooled up with 2-pound test like you guys usually see me fishing with, I actually spooled it up with 4-pound test. I wasn't sure if the edges of the hole were going to be rough enough to cut the line. In my case it wasn't. None of the fish I caught were big enough to put enough stress on there to actually break the line. So I can't say if that's because of the line thickness I'm using or because the fish were just small. My guess is the fish were just small and that's why. But like I said, this is a really great option for you guys who live further south like I do. We still get ice on the lakes, but you can never walk out on it. It's never a good idea. This ice is maybe 2 inches deep at its thickest. It's really not a great idea to be out on that ice generally. I wouldn't ever. Especially with lakes like this that have a bubbler in it, there are a bunch of really thin patches. This is a great option. You can stay safe, you stay dry, you don't have to worry about falling through. And fishing piers are great because they tend to hold fish. Fish get attracted to that structure. And as you saw today, I caught a lot of fish. Over this day, I caught over 30 fish. I only fished for about an hour. This averages out to about a fish every 2 minutes, which in my book is a pretty good average, especially in the winter. I hope you guys enjoyed my first ice fishing adventure. Feel free to leave in the comments if you think this was actually an ice fishing trip or not. The verdict is still out. I hope this adventure inspires you guys to go out and do a little bit of fishing. It's never too cold to do something ridiculous and try to catch some fish. And as always guys, good luck and tight lines.